Episode 8 of Stargirl finally reveals Cindy's alter ego, a character very important to the comics the show draws heavily from, as well as revealed a lot more of what was going on with the mysterious Janitor, all while giving us some great blended family drama and an ending that definitely left us wanting more. Hello everyone, I'm DanTheMan, and I'm very relieved to finally have this episode. Having read the comics, I knew where Cindy and the Janitor were heading since the first episode, at least assuming they didn't take a huge leap from the comics, and holding it in while doing these reviews has not been easy. I remember back when Game of Thrones was on the air, people who read the novels were always struggling not to spoil it, and with what would and wouldn't be from the novels in the show. After this show came out, I finally see how that felt. First off, the big revelation of this episode. Cindy is Dragon King's daughter and the supervillain SHIV. While the Injustice Society was never originally in Stars and Stripes series like on the show, although Stargirl did face off with them many times as part of the Justice Society and their various titles, Dragon King and SHIV were two of Courtney and Pat's arch-enemies in the comic book, and I was glad to see that they were worked into this series. SHIV in the comics, like in the show, was the daughter of Dragon King, who thrived to impress him and prove worthy. While most of her appearances were in Stars and Stripes, she did eventually join a version of the Injustice Society. They got the character more or less spot on from the comics, including her personality, backstory, and costume. The stepmother thing I don't remember from the comics, but it was a good addition and also helped show how truly bad Cindy can be. Well, at least until she topped it by killing one of Dragon King's henchmen in cold blood. I like the way they juxtaposed Cindy and Stargirl. Both wanted to be more and use their abilities to do more, and both in one way or another are being held back by their father figures. Although Pat's is done out of love, and his reluctance to truly embrace Courtney as Stargirl is due to him not wanting to see her hurt, whereas Cindy's father seems to be more out of control. We also got more on the Janitor. Not the entire story yet, although if the titles of upcoming episodes is any indication, that's coming before too much longer. But in the interest of not spoiling it, I won't talk about it too much. Although I do know the most common theory, at least with fans not familiar with the comics, which seems to be most from what I've encountered, was that the Janitor was our man, even though honestly the two actors seems pretty clear to me to not be the same person. The scene with Pat training the JSA, or attempting to, was also great. The training dummies were hilarious, but I also liked that the rest of the JSA minus Courtney seemed to want to follow Pat's lead. It was Courtney who was impatient and resisted his training, which was a big contrast to last episode when Courtney was basically the only one that was Team Pat. Speaking of which, Courtney definitely was a bit much this episode. I mean, I guess she has the training to do the job with her gymnastics and martial arts skills, but Yolanda was a boxer, and Rick, based on what we know of his past, likely has had his fair share of scuffles. Courtney doesn't seem to realize how lucky she's been so far, and an interesting twist for most superhero shows, where after the first episode, they're more or less ready for action, Courtney has not had a true win so far. She was sent running for Brainwave on their first encounter, and did beat him the second time, but in truth she mostly got lucky. She was almost killed by Icicle, and while Pat saved her, it would hardly call him getting away and killing Wizard's son on the way out a win. Then she and the JSA were about to lose to Sportsmaster and Tigress before Pat showed up with S.T.R.I.P.E. But that was a draw at best, and that was with lots of backup. Courtney found out the hard way in her fight with SHIV. She might not be as ready for this as she thought, and that was a great fight, by the way. Not as good as last episode's, like some promoted it to be, but just short of last episode's fight scene was nothing to be ashamed of. Although what's more, Courtney got her butt handed to her. It was lucky Justin was there, or Pat may have found her dead body instead of her heavily beaten up body. It'll be interesting to see how Courtney reacts to a sound and hard loss like this. That's the kind of thing that tests heroes. And it'll also be interesting to see Pat's reaction. Pat, I think, does see Courtney has the stuff to be a hero, maybe even worthy of Starman, but unlike if it was pretty much anyone else, it's Courtney. Someone who, despite his occasional friction, he clearly does love like his own daughter, and that makes it hard for him to accept this path she wants to take. Although Courtney not listening to him doesn't help, and she paid the price for that this time. On some other notes, I like the scene of Mike calling Courtney out for spending so much time with Pat. Obviously, Mike doesn't know the true reason they're spending so much time together, although knowing the bond they share in that case might not make him feel better. How do you compete with being one half of a crime-fighting duo? But it is a nice moment of the friction blended families can often have, and you can tell Courtney regretted she didn't realize she might have been hurting Mike in his relationship with Pat with what she was doing. Also, Cameron making a date with Courtney was interesting. I'm not sure where they'll go with that. It's odd seeing Icicle Jr. being seemingly such a great guy, as he was not one in the comics, but the romance has all kinds of potential going forward. And speaking of romance, while Cindy not really caring for Henry King Jr. was not a great shock, the fact she was only dating him as part of the Injustice Society plans and basically was making it work with him just for that was an interesting development. And it'll be very interesting to see if Cindy's manipulation makes him go towards the side of the Injustice Society or the side of the JSA. And I have a feeling he'll be making that choice real soon. Next episode is part 2 of this story, and I can only guess that it'll be another, possibly final showdown between Stargirl and SHIV. Hopefully another great battle, although one that ends better for Courtney. And it could be real interesting to see where it goes to, as Pat was yelling so loud for Courtney, you gotta believe Cindy heard him call her name. So she likely knows, or will quickly figure out who Stargirl is. Either way, I expect a great finale and can't wait to see where we go next. This show really gets better and better and does Stargirl justice more than I ever dared to hope it would. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. I'm Dan the Man, and I'll see you next time.